Hi, my name is Dr. Ross Hauser. Welcome to the Hauser Neck Center. I think we're going on interview number 3. I think it's been a couple. So this is Meytal, and we've known each other, like, it's been actually over 3 years. So it's been like, geez, what a journey. So you have hypermobility, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and then, you know, so you've been in other interviews that we've done. So we said in the second interview that we would try to interview you after you had MALS surgery. So why don't we just start there, and then we'll get into other topics. And then you look spectacular.
Thank
so I
you.
know you're feeling like the last time the audience saw you, or at least at the beginning of the if we show the other video before this one, I mean, we saw you at your worst, basically. You were in like agony for like almost a year with MALS, right?
Yeah, and I can have pictures I can show you. I was 92 pounds at my lowest. I was just like in despair and desperate to like get water in me, get fluids, and get some sort of food, and really just any type of relief. Like, I think the MALS is interesting because it's very hard to describe to someone who has not had it or seen. And because it's so rare, like, why would anyone understand it? But like, you can say, yeah, I was 100% bedridden for 8 months, and people will say, wow, that sucks. But like, to actually know what that looks like, and to show that like I'm actually crawling on my hands and knees every time I go to the bathroom and back to bed. I can't get out of the house. I can't, you know, like, and knowing that every morning you're going to wake up wailing in pain. And I laugh because if I didn't laugh, I'd be crying.
No, but there was a big brain component. Like, in other words, like the amount of torture, if you will, like basically you were tortured for like 8 months.
Yeah. I mean, I did not think that type of pain was humanly possible.
Right.
And I believe they say MALS pain is comparable to stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Okay. And that's like, you know, something that people are like, oh, like that clicks, sort of. But like, to not be able to stand upright, not be able to breathe, to only be able to communicate with someone by like whispering like this, like because you can't use your lungs, you can't use your diaphragm.
Because the pain would get too bad.
Taking a sip of water, and then I'm like this for about 5 minutes, trying not to move the diaphragm as much as possible, for that 24/7
for 8 months. Until you got the surgery.
Yeah, and so like going to sleep, knowing that you're gonna wake up like that, there was no solid sleep. Like, I was completely sleep deprived. I was completely malnourished.
And you and I tried a million different pain meds and this and that, and it was like, the only thing that you found was if you went into a pool. Like, how did you find out that? Because there may be somebody who sees this video with MALS and they're just losing weight. So how did you find that? Like, if you went into a pool of water.
The water is fascinating because it's like not something I had seen anywhere on the internet. And I think it comes like from your sort of thinking, like more holistically, kind of like mechanically, how does the body work? And this is part of the reason why I believed it was MALS, because I went into the pool, and as soon as I was submerged in water up till here, like the pain would go from an 8 to a 4.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, this is very obviously mechanical, right? Because we're talking about like gravity. And then I wouldn't be able to, once I tried to get out of the water, then it was like impossible for me not to be like crawling out of the pool, difficulty breathing and with pain. I think it should be a big focal point for people
while they're waiting for surgery or whatever. And then you were able to eat some.
Yeah.
Like that's actually kind of might have even what saved your life before you got the surgery.
Absolutely. I was extremely lucky because
you were down to 92 pounds.
I was down to 92 pounds. The only way I was able to even get that weight was by going into the pool as often as I could, submerging up to here, bringing bringing like juices and foods and trying to shove food in my mouth as much as my stomach could tolerate. Because also after 8 months, your stomach, if you're not eating, your stomach shrinks, and that's why I can actually like. A lot of patients that get the MALS surgery will lose weight within the first 3 months of their surgery. I was lucky that I gained weight immediately. So I'm currently at my like weight goal.
What's that?
110.
Okay. When was your surgery?
August 1st of 2024.
Okay, so we're talking, you're now about 9 months after that. Okay, so why don't you, who did you get surgery by, and then how did you pick that doctor?
Fascinating, because MALS is extraordinarily controversial. There are about 20-ish doctors that treat MALS in the U.S. And this is like after extensive research, and I'm sure it's changed because this was about a year ago, but the key component, the concept of MALS is that you've got your median arcuate ligament that's kind of like wrapped around your celiac artery and rubbing against the nerve. So the celiac artery feeds the blood to the duodenum.
Well, a lot of the digestive tract.
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially, like when you've got MALS and your heart's trying to pump more blood to your stomach, but like you're probably not metabolizing or digesting food as much as you needed. And then here's the controversy. Some of them think it's a vascular problem. They're like, we just need to open up the artery. And two doctors believe that it's neurological. Okay. AKA the nerve around that artery is the problem. There are only two doctors like that believe that, and one of them has been doing this the longest, and his name is Dr. Richard Shue in Connecticut. And he's been doing this the longest, and sort of in my reference point when I think of like the prolo guy is Dr. Hauser. You've been doing this the longest, you have the most research, et cetera, et cetera. That's how I would put him in his category of MALS. And he could see that I, of course, had anatomical abnormalities compared to the rest of his MALS patients. Because basically what happens is like your diaphragm falls onto that and rubs up against all those nerves. So most doctors only take out part of the nerve. He goes in, snips the ligament.
The median arcuate ligament, he snips it. Okay.
And takes out the entire ganglion nerve.
Okay.
And then he also trims the diaphragm. To kind of lift it back up. He's the only surgeon that does that.
It's almost like he's invented a surgery for it that's successful. And you were patient number what?
964.
Right, so imagine going to a doctor who's done almost 1,000 of these operations.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Which has made a huge difference because there's other doctors who are trying to do this laparoscopically.
Okay.
Can I show my scar?
Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead.
Just so, there's like a reference point. This is, a very small scar.
Yeah, that's good.
It's not bad.
Okay.
I mean, after everything I had been through, I don't care about scars. But, people are inclined to do laparoscopic, interventions. But I think, in this area, because there's so little research, it's what people don't realize and they don't know to ask is that when you go in laparoscopically, they're not taking out the whole ganglion nerve.
Okay.
And so that's why they have what's called recurrent MALS. And that's why I think it's like 80 to 90% of MALS patients gets it again. With the exception of Dr. Shue's patients. They don't get it again because the nerve is gone. There's nothing to rebuild.
Okay.
it took me 7 months and hiring a team of people and my best friend who's taking care of me in order to like get to that point of knowledge, get to that doctor, and do the testing that we could talk about, the celiac nerve block. It took all of that.
Why don't you talk about that now? You're saying, does he have that protocol that you have to get a celiac nerve block?
Yes, he does.
Okay, so explain that. So you had, because it took a while for you even to find somebody to do the celiac nerve block, right?
Yeah. People
like
were
that
scared.
Was even a whole.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like from the beginning of the story, you were the first person to be like, "Hey, I think it's SMA or MALS."
I think it's MALS, and then we did whatever tests we could to document it, and then it turned out we were correct, like it was MALS.
Absolutely,
But,
and it also goes to show that like radiologists have their own ways of doing things, and like different radiologists are gonna say different things on the same test because they have different training. But I was very, very lucky, you and I are close friends, and I was able to come here and get some of the ultrasound testing that showed some of those
MALS.
And
then we
MALS.
did the CT scans.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that pointed me in the right direction, even though I went to the University of Miami and the Cleveland Clinic, and their protocol is also to do those ultrasounds, but they did them differently in the sense of like, when you're supine versus upright, you're going to have different markers, especially if you're an Ehlers-Danlos patient. And the problem is when you're upright, your diaphragm's falling. If you're laying down, like you're not going to have the same problem. So I was actually turned away with their experts saying that I do not have MALS.
Because you were laying down. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that's good for the audience to know, because if you feel like you have MALS and...
Yeah.
Because we talk about dynamic structural medicine relates to structures different in different positions. So you could have the celiac nerve or the celiac artery getting compressed in a different position than laying down. Or at least to meet the criterion.
And that's the wild part. Like in the medicine that we have now, most doctors don't talk that way. They don't understand it that way. Yeah. It's like, no, it needs to be in like whatever the textbook gave me. But in reality, it's...
How did you find the doctor to do a celiac nerve block that you felt comfortable with? Did you just get one, or you had two?
I had one, and honestly, at that point, it was like I was very, very scared for my life, and he was the only one willing to do it for me.
Because the pain was so bad, and you were losing so much weight.
The pain was
unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, after I would try to eat, I would black out. I would be in fetal position on the floor, or like just like as if I was praying. And honestly, like this type of pain is where I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't see anything. Like it was just completely black. And at the beginning, I would wail. I'm crying. So every morning, Stephen would wake up to wailing, like, and that's my best friend, partner, and like that's the other thing too that we should talk about at some point. Is honestly, this is extremely traumatic for the people around you. It's like not just for yourself, and I think it's the utmost importance of the patient to focus like on their well-being. And part of the problem with that is that their support network, it's almost too ugly for them to watch, that it becomes really difficult to have honest communications with your support network, and it's very hard to feel understood.
Even somebody who loves you,
yeah.
Because it's almost like watching somebody die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's almost like even when you would come to the office, it's like the agony was, it was just like
terrifying.
Yeah, it was
terrifying. But and over time, like when you get used to that kind of pain, I stopped crying.
Okay.
I think I very much felt like a shell of a human being. When you're not digesting food, your mental health decays. My cognition deteriorated.
Yeah. Well, you're still actually working on it. Like it's still not back to what it was. Like you're feeling relatively good today, but it's like
It's definitely dependent on the day.
Right.
Like, the truth is that the healing process is different for everyone. Mm-hmm. It's very much nonlinear. And I think I'm having an easier time with that part of the MALS of like, oh, I'm better, I'm not better, I'm better. And that's only because I had the brain and neck surgery beforehand.
Okay.
And at this point, like out of those 1,000 patients that had the MALS surgery, I'm the only one who's had both.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Like I don't think there's recorded anywhere of someone having MALS and severe craniocervical and instability to the point where I'm also having these seizures, which are not really reported.
Yes.
And thus far have not found a name for these seizures. Yeah.
Let's see, I was going to ask you. Oh, no. You never said, like, you went to get a celiac nerve block.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
And then, was it 100% relief, 20% relief, or what?
That was what was crazy throughout the entire time. Yeah. The only time I got, like, full relief was right after the celiac nerve block.
I know, but the doctor wants that, right? Because then it's like, wow, the pain's from the nerve.
Then, yeah, exactly.
That's what he wants.
That's how you know it's neurological.
Okay.
And that's kind of his theory around it.
How soon after the nerve block were you able to get this surgery?
1.5 months, and I was very lucky. He squeezed me in because I was. I was honestly a very high risk patient.
Did you right away feel better after surgery, or how long did that take? Like the pain, the pain.
I didn't answer your question. I keep not answering your questions. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Scatterbrained.
Okay.
So I needed to find a doctor for the celiac nerve block. The celiac nerve block is that one procedure where they numb that specific nerve. No one on this coast of Florida was willing to do it that I could find, mostly because like there were only two providers, and they were too scared to touch me.
Because you were so sick.
Yeah, and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome predisposes you to having complications. But I had met with a couple vascular surgeons on the east coast of Florida. And just based on location, like this one guy met with me and he's like, I think you have MALS. I'm not qualified for this at all, which I so appreciate. Sometimes that's how you know you have the best doctor. You're like, this is...
They're being honest.
Yeah. Kind of like your honesty in what you do know and what you don't know. Like that
I don't
proves
pretend
to
to
me,
be a MALS expert.
Right. To me,
I'm not a surgeon,
Right. And that says to me that like you're as honest with me, and that's the type of doctor that I want to go to, because otherwise, you're going to end up getting a laparoscopic MALS surgery where you're going to have MALS again in like 6 months. And that's something I try to avoid. I'm a very long-term thinker. So to answer your question about the it took like, because I had already seen him, so he was able to schedule me in pretty quickly. I got the nerve block, and instantly I sat up. I was crying.
Wow.
Because I was coming from, I was having I had a seizure, and because I had to drive across the state. It was horrendous. And then suddenly I'm like, oh my God, I was able to sit up, and I started crying.
Okay.
I drank water and I ate food, and I was like, I'm in heaven.
Yeah. It lasted like a day or something.
It slowly went away. So I had 8 hours of 100% relief, and that was kind of like I needed that at that point, because after
you knew that you were going to get better once that happened, because then you know the exact cause of the pain.
Exactly.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, going through that many months at a time with trying to cheer yourself on to keep going at that excruciating level amount of pain, there's a certain point where hope starts to get lost. even just getting that moment of relief, I was like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's going to be hard, but I'm going to get there. And thank God, actually the doctor in Connecticut, he, saw those findings, was like, done, easy, we'll fit you into surgery within a month. I believe I actually spoke with his office. He's continuing to fine-tune his surgery for MALS, which,
Yeah, you just keep getting better.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, you and I had talked because, like, you've obviously been, you were from California, then you moved here basically because of the clinic here.
Yeah.
And then so that was like over 3 years ago. Then we had talked that it's now time for you to move somewhere else. So why don't you just explain, because, again, you had a traumatic thing go on for 8 months, besides just having upper cervical instability and doing different treatments and eventually having surgery. And, it wasn't like the preceding time before the 8 months that you had MALS was good either.
Yeah.
So tell us about the decision, like you're going to go to Michigan, and what are things that you are doing, right? Because, there's a lot of people who have, like, post-traumatic doctor disorder, post-traumatic disease disorder, like just having horrible symptoms from a disease, like it just keeps wearing on you. So recently you had talked to me about you're doing some work with neuroplasticity and different things. So, and then, because you're obviously significantly better since I last saw you. Like you're definitely on the mend, but you are still not where you were, I guess.
Yeah.
So what do you still need to do? And then what was the thinking about going to Michigan?
Yeah. I want to make sure I capture all of
that.
Okay. Yeah, it's a really good question. And honestly, the way I think about it is, I think I shared with you in the past that everything that's happened leading up to this point has kind of been a prehabilitation.
Okay.
And I think after the MALS surgery, and this is difficult for me to keep that faith, but I try to anchor myself in this, is that after the MALS surgery, I'm finally able to actually heal. This is my rehabilitation.
Okay.
And in a weird way, I was kind of spiraling down. Oops. Mm-hmm. I was spiraling down, and now I'm kind of spiraling back up.
That's a great way to look at it.
But it takes a lot of work, especially because this has taken such a big toll psychologically. Mm-hmm. When you're really, really sick, that's how you know who your friends are, and that's how you know who's going to be there for you. And I've been incredibly lucky with my community. And also one of the hardest things about you had the surgery, right? And then suddenly things go silent. It's 2 weeks later and people go back to their lives. And I'm still in the trenches, especially with MALS. There were days where I would panic. I also have PTSD, or medical PTSD, for sure. Mm-hmm. But I think about it in the sense of okay, I know my body. I've gone to the point where I could say I know my body very well. I can tell you if it exactly which joint in my thoracic is coming out. And I'm not saying everyone should do that, but I think gaining the confidence to know exactly how to advocate for yourself, or at least get the help to advocate for you at these doctors, is of the utmost importance. And having specific questions that can deter you from doctors that are just going to gaslight you or downsize you simply because they don't know any better, is I think also part of what saved me. I feel confident going to Michigan and I feel more confident just re-entering the world and going somewhere else and finding other doctors. One, because I have the most amazing team of doctors across the U.S. that's helped me. But two, because I've learned how to field that and how to just avoid those types of doctors and be thank you so much for your time, goodbye. Like, you're not going to help me. Because there will be a lot of doctors that will tell you it's in your head, or I don't believe you, look at this scan. I mean, over time, I think I've seen over $400, doctors on my spreadsheet. Yeah.
400?
At least.
Wow.
I've spoken to,
Okay.
at least 400 doctors.
Wow.
I had to be very persistent.
Holy cow.
Especially because, the seizures, I stopped breathing during them.
Yeah. And then I had to get you on that Versed, and then...
Yeah, and you saved me with that. Like, I think I would have...
Yeah, we came up with a nasal Versed.
Do you want to what more about that? Because I think that's something that people have...
Well, it's a compounding. You have to get it compounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was what we had to do.
Yeah. And so I don't go on social media much anymore because it just brings up a lot of negativity. But for a lot of other people that are on the internet, like, if you think about it this way, like, the science that's being taught in school right now is very physiological, it's very biological, it's chemical.
Yeah.
What is not necessarily looked at as, like, holistically, mechanically at your body. Like, what is going on? I mean, like, over time, we know Darwinism is real, but, like, how much do we actually know of it? In the sense of, like, you talk about posture. People don't even realize that your posture and how you hold your head is probably the most important thing you can do in your life.
That's good, structurally, yeah.
Yeah, and so... starting to, like, be self-aware and understanding and thinking about it differently is going to help you find creative solutions that are actually going to give you insights on what to do. So, for example, the pool, or knowing exactly which positions I had to be in.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a good support network? Like, are you gonna live with a friend, or you're just gonna...
Yeah, I'm very lucky. One of my best friends lives out there. Honestly, I moved here for you, but I was also very, very lucky that my best friend's family lives here and has a place here. Personally, like, being in the same kind of area, like, 4 walls, like my apartment, like, it's
plus you do
difficult.
Plus you do better in a little bit colder climate, like like. Florida's humid, Okay, so you're going to go to a colder climate, then you got a good family support network. And then how are you getting over the PTSD stuff? Like, what are you doing?
So this is not doctor's advice, but
okay, that's fine.
I quit my therapist.
Okay.
Because I have done PTSD training. I've done EMDR, eye motion desensitization. And I found that every time I was going into therapy, I was just re-triggering myself with all these different things.
It helped to a point.
Exactly, yeah. There is a point where it stops helping. Okay. And so I found this program through a friend of a friend called Dynamic Neuro Retraining System, and that really focuses on, like, forget your past. Like, it's not, like, because you are still experiencing trauma. Like, I'm still experiencing the trauma that can't be, like, how can you process something that's still happening?
Okay.
You can't.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And so the concept behind it is to, like, flood your brain with happy chemicals.
Okay.
Imagine yourself forget whatever it is that you're worried about or thinking about. It's imagining yourself in your truest fantasy. And the whole point is to just create and increase those happy chemicals in your body, serotonin, dopamine, etc.
Okay.
But not through, like, social media or all these different things, right? You're literally training your brain to say, I have this symptom, and instead of being scared of it, I'm just gonna change how I view it. I'm gonna call it an it. It's not a symptom, it's just an it. I'm having an it.
Yeah.
It does not mean that I'm going to be having all these other things. It just is. And then focusing on like, what do I want from my life? Like, what's my happy place? And by just changing some of that verbiage internally, you're training your brain not to think about it as a symptomatic, as a problem, as a clinical issue. It's trying to get yourself to think that this isn't a problem you need to solve for anymore.
That's good.
Let yourself be.
That's great. Yeah.
So that's kind of, that's what I'm focusing on now. It's not easy. I wake up in fight or flight every single day.
Okay.
And I have to meditate and calm down. And I try to start the day with like my meditation, gratitude, intentions. And then like do something helpful and like exercise and relax.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I'm going to Michigan to test out the colder weather.
And then the other thing too is like, if you think about it, like somebody gets a traumatic brain injury, one of the first things they do is like cool the body. So as it relates to brain pressure, right? So in other words, I was talking to a patient in my waiting room because I said, here, like touch me. Like, see how I'm cold? Like, I'm cold-blooded.
Yeah.
So, like, I was just explaining to them, like, my basic body temperature is like 97, where you or somebody else, the body temperature might be 99. So, in other words, when I'm in heat, like, the second I go outside, like today it's a very humid day, it's unbelievable. The second I go outside, I instantly feel way better. Because well, in the room here, it's 74.
Yeah.
And I already have a low body temperature. Because I had a friend visiting from Colorado, my oldest friend, Pete. So he's like, I can't believe you. Like, I got home yesterday, and right away I'm going to go in my hot tub when it's 90 degrees out. Like, who? No, but you understand, like outside. No, but the second I'm in the hot tub, because the second I'm in it, it's 104 degrees or whatever. So instantly my temperature is going to go up to like 98 or something.
Yeah.
But if you're at 99 and then now you go outside, you're like, holy crap, I feel worse.
Yeah.
Because now, and especially if you, like, let's just say your brain pressure still was a little bit high, you're still having... let's agree, though, the seizure stuff and everything, it's way, way better. So no one should get the opinion like it's way, way better. It's like dramatically better.
Yeah.
It's dramatically better. But so for you may go to Michigan and it's like in a week you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like so much better. Because again, if you were here and your brain pressure is going up just from the hot temperature because you're already too hot, then... so it makes sense. It makes sense. Like it may be the next step with you, because even your brain function may just be way, way better.
And I believe that for sure, because I before the MALS, and when I was like at my best after healing from the other surgeries, I went to Mexico City to see my aunt who has stage 4 cancer, and like we went in Mexico City, and it was like cold there, and you're like at a much higher altitude, and I was shocked because I was like, I feel so much better. It's like my POTS is gone.
Wow, awesome.
Like what? Awesome. And then I come back here and I'm like, I'm like having a panic attack. No, but I that goes to say, like, everyone should try different things. You don't give up. Don't let a doctor dissuade you or gaslight you. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in building your support system, and like focus on finding people around you that you can call friends, and that are that you can rely on for love and support. Like you've been a cornerstone for me in my chapter, for sure.
Appreciate that.
Oh.
But no, it's one of the things I'm happy about in 1991, Mary and I, because I always wanted to have my own business. I just was that way. You're probably that way too, because you're entrepreneurial and everything. And then, we go to the attorney, and it's like, what are we going to call business, because think about it, like it's a crazy name for a joint instability clinic to be called Caring Medical.
Yeah.
But no, but the point is, it's an interesting name. Like, why would a rehabilitation doctor, a physical medicine rehabilitation doctor, call the office Caring Medical? But I'm so happy that we did that, because I think, I'm not saying 100% of the patients, but most of the people that come there right away, they would say, they walk in and it's like every single person that works here, I like them and they're caring.
Yeah.
Because basically what you're saying is, if you get healthcare providers that truly care, and part of caring is always honesty. I'm good at this, I'm not good at that. Like you got a doctor who, like, yeah, I do celiac ganglion blocks, but I'm just telling you, like, you need like a super specialist, which, because imagine if that doctor did that celiac ganglion block and didn't block it good, and then you didn't get, you understand, and then you didn't get relief. Then all of a sudden the surgeon's like, no, you don't have neurogenic, you don't have neurologic issue. You know what I mean? You would never have gotten that surgery. So you actually needed that doctor not to, like, right, because he could have gotten an expensive procedure out of it.
Yeah.
But he was an honest person. But that's basically what you're saying. Like, you have to get healthcare providers who truly care, and if they truly care, they will give you the kind of advice they would give themselves. Because I always tell patients, what you do is you always look at the healthcare provider in the eyes, because the eyes are the windows to the soul. And it's like, you're just saying, like, you got to go in there prepared. Then you look them in the eye. And really a good thing would be is like, doc, if I was your daughter, or I'm your wife. No, if you're a female. Like, in other words, I'm your wife or your significant other, I'm your daughter. Tell me what you would advise. And it's like going to be very hard to somebody bullshit you, or say stuff off the cuff. So when people are here, there are times where, like, say I got a complicated case, I'll just say to the patient in front of them, I'm like, George, I'm going to close my eyes now because the case is actually complicated. I just got to think for a second, like, if I'm in your situation, I got to think about what I would do. And then there are times where I'll say, because I had a patient recently, the case was so complicated, they had like 6 different structural things going on, and honestly, it was just, for the moment, it just was too complicated even for me. So I said to him, right now, this is what I would do, but I'm going to get with Brad. Like, I need to just think about it. Like, there are cases where literally I just got to think about it. So then if you went on there, I only have one piece of paper, which is the person's MRI that shows an artery hitting the trigeminal nerve. But that's only one of the 6 things that are significant for him. But that's my reminder that I got to think about the case. So the point is, you'd rather have a doctor doing that, like, because the guy struggles with, he's got a back thing, a pelvic thing, a brainstem thing, a brain thing, a cervical thing. So there's a lot of factors involved. And so I think that's, you were able to navigate that. And then you and I had talked about, I always say that too, is if somebody's been disabled or had a healthcare condition for years and now they're overcoming it, it's sort of like, what are you going to do with your gift of health? Like, what are you going to do with your gift of health? And you and I started that conversation. Yeah. Because I sort of see you, the Lord, using you in a very significant way to help a lot of people. And, I know you're still navigating that, but you and I had talked about, non-for-profit or something, or, just something where, because if you think about, as the world gets more and more addicted to cell phones, and as people more and more spend hours and hours looking down at a cell phone, all these conditions that are related to human structure, they're just going to keep increasing and increasing. And then most of the world lives in impoverished areas, or they don't have, like, you were able to have access to things. Yeah. So it's sort of like, we need more and more advocates. We need more and more people with businesses or non-for-profits, or
Yeah.
Because I had for the first time, I actually had a patient that happened this year, Meytal, where the person, they're in my office, right? And then this lady shows up and then they hug and I'm like, what the heck's going on here? And it's like this person had hired this advocate. Like there's people that they have patient advocates. Like if you're alone or you're by yourself and then you got all this stuff and it gets overwhelming, but they had never met. It was just through the internet. So it turned out the advocate lived in Florida. Yeah, that's what she does. She's a nurse I think she's a nurse, and then she does that for patients. And she had written a book, but there's more and more.
Yeah.
Because it gets complicated. You almost have to be super intelligent to keep everything straight.
And even
right, isn't it? Like you
no,
have to,
absolutely.
even for this, like you're.
Yeah, I mean, like I have 3 3-inch binders filled with either medical records, theories, tests. It goes on, and it can get really, really complicated, especially for the patient. Because like you're also being influxed with information on the internet. You're being influxed with information from doctors. A lot of them contradictory. You have your support network who thinks that they, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And it's so overwhelming, and you're so used to being gaslit that at a certain point, you're I think a lot of people break their trust with their own body, especially because they feel betrayed by their own body, and it breaks my heart because I still struggle with that, and at the same time, I try and think every day that I'm actually really grateful for my body, because even though I don't see it this way, like my body's been fighting a lot to keep me alive over the last 10 years, and I just didn't know it. I just didn't know it. But you've spoken to a lot of things that that get my gears going. And kind of what I mentioned with Darwinism, that picture of like the ape turning into a man. When you talk about how humans are starting to get more and more and more like we are actually evolving as a species to have more of these problems by simply
it's almost like we're de-evolving.
Exactly.
We're de-evolving. That's basically what you're trying to say. And you could even tell by people they're getting more and more animalistic versus in other words, as the jugular veins get blocked and the fluid, I think you and I have talked about, the fluid accumulates in your frontal lobes and your hippocampus. So then memory and higher level cognitive functioning, which is basically you're trying to get it back. Back in the day, you're a mover and shaker, you're the PR person for a famous product. People would have no idea your previous life, right? And then if you start getting where you get different structural issues, and then the brain keeps, the pressure on the brain is enormous. Eventually your brain function, the frontal lobe. So the problem is when your frontal lobe doesn't work, that's an animal. Everything's instinctual and everything's like survival and everything's. So that's why we get all the craziness in the world where people aren't even thinking straight. They're just not thinking straight. And I feel bad for the children. I think the children, it's but. Yeah. Here, I know we could talk for hours and hours and hours. So I think, why don't we just, obviously, we'll keep in touch, and then, look forward to, your future. Like you said, you're on the spiral up.
Thank you.
And
I did. There were a couple things that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
That is just what you spoke about. I think. I don't remember what you were speaking about, but you were talking about almost being reborn. The craziest thing happened after the MALS surgery. So prior to this, I had brain and neck surgery. They broke my jaw, or didn't break it, dislocated it, and I wasn't able to recognize myself. And that was terrifying in its own way. What was crazy was, I didn't realize how far away I felt from myself. I knew I didn't have my sense of self anymore. And then once I woke up from the MALS surgery, it wasn't just that I could stand and like breathe and not be in extraordinary pain for even just a couple minutes, but I looked in the mirror and I told my friends, I was like, this is the first time I look in the mirror and I recognize myself.
Oh, wow.
Like, I don't know why this had to do with that, but
yeah, wow,
you know,
wow.
there's something there. I don't quite know what it is yet. And then the other piece that you were talking about when you're like, you know, trying to understand what's going on with patients, that we forget about, not just like structurally, it's like we forget, like we have all the questions on the forms when you see a new doctor about your social activity, but no doctor is actually thinking about your lifestyle and how that implicates your body. So if a doctor knew I was at a computer with poor posture for 12 hours a day, they'd be like, oh, well, maybe you should take a look at your neck.
Yeah.
But nobody would have asked me that except for you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
So,
I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, of course. It's an important piece to the journey. So, you know, I'll always be an advocate. There are more programs coming out now. I have a patient advocate.
Good.
Yeah. So I'm
Great. Just appreciate, you sharing your story and being so honest about it. And I think it's going to help a lot of people.
I hope so. But thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It really is an honor to be able to be alive and hopefully help some people.
And I could even see you at some point, like you having YouTube channel and just like, no, because I think, there needs to be more people that really understand like structure.
Yeah.
And that, have the persona and have the means, like the way you explain things is very good. Like you're very good at that. So I would just encourage you to consider that, in the future. And
that means a lot to me. That really means a lot. That was one of the challenges of of like not just trusting the rest of my body, but particularly my brain. Mm-hmm. Because from the outside you can't see it, but my memory is different. My like there's certain things that are harder, and for someone that relied on my brain for my livelihood and everything, that's that one I'm still coming to terms with. But it helps, and I appreciate it a lot.
I'm sure you're going to learn a lot too that you'll be able to share with people in the future. Like, there's one thing about knowing something, but another thing is experience it. Like you're exactly right. I don't know what it's like for 8 months to be fearful for your life, if you will, but you experienced it. So whatever things future people who contact you who are struggling, you would have probably struggled more than even them, because you did it straight for 8 months and it was life-threatening. You really understand human suffering. Like, you understand starvation, you understand pain, you understand dizziness, you understand seizures. Like, you know what I mean? So you could see where you are going to be uniquely qualified, more than me, in various situations to help people, because I didn't go through the extensiveness that you did. Yeah.
I do hope I'm able to do something. I think, I used to be a lobbyist. I was in politics at some point and nonprofits for several years, and I'm hoping that I can build something, and I would hope and invite you to, be a part of it as well.
Yeah. Scientific advisor or something.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be incredible. Yeah. Because there's too much.
It almost seems like there needs to be a network of doctors that sort of have the same underlying philosophy, which is, the resolution of stuff and not just the symptomatology of stuff. Like try to really resolve it, but.
Yeah, but it takes courage.
Yeah.
A lot of doctors in the past have said things like, "Oh, just come back in 3 months," when really you would be much better off saying, "I don't know. Here are some referrals." Because doctors who say that, it ends up really hurting the patient.
Right. Well, it's 3 more months. It's 3 more months, and then if you don't correct the underlying etiology, the thing's progressing. And sometimes, if you have instability, it can progress to something really bad.
Exactly. And it's weird to say this, but, you know, and I had such an extensive condition of both things, or all three. But in a way, I look back and I am really appreciative of that because I had some other adversities in my past that allowed me to have the strength to do it quickly.
Okay.
And because of how fast I deteriorated, it was, you know, I had to figure things out quickly, and it gave me more knowledge of, like, a better understanding of what's in my body because I had to pay so much attention rather than, like, you know, I don't know if the saying of, like, you put a frog in boiling water and he'll jump out, but if you put a frog in water and you slowly boil it, the frog's not going to come out. And it goes to say, it's like, sometimes, like, you know, you need that shock, and that goes back to, like, me going to Michigan too, like, part of healing is, like, removing myself from a lot of the past trauma and trying to surround myself with
something new. Where there's health, like the friend's healthy, there's health, you know.
And new things to learn because that again also, like, is neuroplasticity that helps the brain.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Time
you.
for
Anytime.
lunch.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.